This is a story about Sofia from Italy, and it's a wild one. Picture a kid torn between a nature-obsessed mom and a money-hungry dad who split when I was 8. Dumped in a sleepy village, I teamed up with quirky Leo and crossed paths with Marco, a mystery man with jaw-dropping secrets. Can a young girl break through betrayal, stand tall, and find her own voice? Welcome to Tales Revealed. Let's get started. Hello, I'm Sofia from Italy. I was born into a family with parents who had completely opposite personalities. My mother was a nature lover who preferred simple living and embraced the simple things in life. In contrast, my father owned a famous chain of restaurants and seemed to love money more than anything else in the world. Our lives changed completely when I was 8 years old. My father left my mother to pursue another woman. After this upheaval, my mother decided to move to a small village in the countryside. Initially, I was furious with my father for abandoning us, but gradually, I came to love life in the countryside. My mother opened a small farm and I started attending the local school. On my first day of school, on the way there, I saw a skinny boy struggling with his bicycle stuck in the mud. "Hey, let me help you," I said, and used all my strength to pull the bicycle out of the mud in just a few seconds. "Wow, you're strong, just like Hulk," the boy said with surprise. "Captain Marvel would be more accurate," I replied with a proud smile. When I arrived at school, I discovered that the boy was in my class, and his name was Leo. He was so skinny that other kids in the class often teased him. "Hey, be careful when you bump into Leo. He might break a bone. Hold on to something, Leo, or the wind might blow you away." I felt terrible for Leo, but before I could say anything, he saw me and his eyes lit up. "Look at that girl. She pulled my bike out of the mud with just one finger. If you bother me, she'll kick your butts. Right, Captain Marvel?" From that day on, Leo and I began playing together, and anyone who tried to bully him had to deal with me first. We became inseparable. One day, when we were in 8th grade, my mother said she received a call from my father, and he wanted to talk to me. He had never visited us once in all those years. All he did was send me expensive gifts on each birthday. "I don't want to talk to him," I told my mother. "His second wife just left, so he seems sad. You should call your father," my mother advised. Reluctantly, I called my father, and he seemed very happy to hear my voice. "My angel, I thought you had forgotten about me." "I tried, but Mom wouldn't allow it," I replied curtly, and hung up immediately after. I did this every time my father called, so eventually he stopped calling, and I didn't complain about that. Time passed. Leo moved to the city to attend university, while I stayed behind to study farm management, but we still kept in regular contact. Then one day, I received a worrying message from my father. "Sofia, I need you. I know I've been a terrible father, but I'm in crisis and need you. Please don't abandon me." I tried calling him back, but his phone was turned off. When I told my mother, she insisted that I should go immediately to see what was happening, so I packed my bags and caught the first train to the city. I had just settled into my seat on the train when I heard a commotion from behind. Turning around, I saw a very handsome young man who seemed to have lost his ticket. "Please give me a new ticket. Here's my credit card," he said to the ticket inspector. "Sorry, we only accept cash, but I can pay for your ticket if you don't mind," I interjected. "That's great, thank you. I'll pay you back later," he replied with a bright smile and dimples that made my heart flutter. When we arrived in the city, I saw the stranger was sleeping, so I left quietly. I had to walk to my father's villa because I didn't have enough money left for the bus. As I was walking along the street, a luxurious car pulled up beside me. "Hey, why didn't you wake me up?" It was the young man from the train. "I didn't want to disturb you. Well, looking this handsome is quite exhausting, so I was a bit tired. Anyway, here's the train fare, and as a thank you, I can drive you to where you need to go." When I gave him my father's address, he looked very surprised. "You were planning to walk there? It's about 5 kilometers away." "I know, but I'm a bit short on money right now," I explained. "Yet, you still bought a train ticket for me? Are you sure you're not Mother Teresa's daughter?" On the way to my father's villa, the young man introduced himself as Marco and talked non-stop about everything. It was quite an enjoyable ride, but when we arrived at the villa, I was shocked to see my father lying in bed, looking ill. "Father, are you okay?" "Sofia, my love, I knew you wouldn't disappoint me." Father explained that he had just had a heart attack, and doctors advised him to rest completely. He called me to manage his business until he recovered. "But I don't know anything about your business. I'm here to help you, darling. It's not rocket science. "Oh, here's my credit card. You'll need some decent clothes to attend meetings." I wasn't thrilled about staying, but my father's poor health left me with no other choice. I called Leo to tell him I was in the city and went shopping with him. When I told him about my father, his jaw dropped. "Why didn't you tell me your father was so rich? He's quite famous. That makes you famous too." "Stop it. I'm only here until he gets better." "If I had a father like that, I would make sure he never forgot me," Leo said with a jealous tone. That evening, my father told me to attend a dinner with a business partner. I arrived at the restaurant on time, but when no one showed up for an hour, I was about to leave when I bumped into something as hard as a rock. "Sophia, it's me. What's your second wish?" It turned out Marco was the business partner I was supposed to meet. I need to use the bathroom," I stammered. "That's your second wish? Try something more creative like, I want Marco to pluck the stars for me, or I want Marco to buy me a villa on Mars." The entire evening, Marco didn't stop flirting with me. "Touch my shirt. Do you know what it's made of?" "It's made of boyfriend material." "I think something's wrong with my phone. Your number isn't in it." "This is supposed to be a business meeting, not a flirting session," I reminded him. "I know, but it's hard to focus when you're sitting there looking so beautiful." That night, when I returned home, my father called me into his room. He was very eager to know how the meeting went, and I lied that it went well. I had to attend business meetings with Marco almost every other day, and not a word about business was discussed. Marco gave me flowers, chocolates, and gifts, and I had to accept them for my father's sake. Then one day, my father dropped a bomb on me. "Sophia, I want you and Marco to get engaged. He's rich, handsome, and I've even spoken with his father." "Engaged? I think you're asking too much of me." "I'm only thinking about your future, darling. Marco can give you everything." "I don't care about money. Don't you know me at all?" "How can I know you when you've shut me out of your life?" "Sophia, I'm just an old man who wants the best for his daughter. I know I won't live long and I want to see you settled before I—" "Father, please, you'll be fine." "Okay, I'll date Marco and we'll see how things go." Although I agreed to date Marco, I had no intention of getting engaged to him. In fact, I planned to make him reject me. So, the next day, when Marco came to pick me up in a helicopter and took me to a restaurant in Florence, I ate like a pig and burped right in his face. "Your burp smells like sunflowers," he said with an amused expression. When we were leaving, I deliberately stepped on his expensive white shoes. "This beautiful stain will always remind me of you," he said without showing any annoyance. Later, he took me shopping, and I deliberately bought the most expensive clothes possible, but he didn't even blink. "You've only spent 0.1% of my assets. That's insulting." "What's wrong with you? Can't you see I'm not interested in dating you?" "Give me one solid reason, and I'll back off." "I don't like you. You look like crap." "I've been used to girls chasing me since I hit puberty, so try something else." "Don't tell my father, but I like girls." Suddenly, Marco pulled me in and kissed me. When his lips touched mine, I felt like my heart was about to explode. "No, you don't," he said confidently. "What? You're not gay." "Actually, the truth is that I like someone else." "Who?" Marco asked curiously, and I said the first name that came to mind. "Leo, my childhood friend. He's studying here in the city and we meet frequently. In that case, I'll tell your father that things aren't working out between us. But I want to meet this Leo first." That day, I called Leo and told him everything. He assured me that he would act convincingly as my boyfriend, and Marco wouldn't suspect a thing. So the three of us decided to meet for a movie. Leo constantly held my hand and called me his sweet dessert every 2 minutes. "Your ears are perfect, my sweet dessert." "Sweet dessert, would you like more popcorn?" God, he was like the king of overacting. "If you call me sweet dessert one more time, I'll kick your butt." "But I'm just trying to be convincing," Leo protested. "Do as I say. When I elbow your arm, lean over and kiss me on the cheek, okay?" A few seconds later, I elbowed Leo's arm, but that made him drop his bucket of popcorn. When I bent down to pick it up, Leo accidentally kissed Marco. In the end, Marco realized Leo wasn't my boyfriend. With no other excuse, I had to date Marco. But it wasn't bad at all. The more time we spent together, the more I began to enjoy his presence. One day, we went hiking to a lake, swam for hours, and had a picnic, and it was wonderful. A few days later, while I was in the car at a traffic light, I spotted Marco and called him. "Hey, are you free to meet for coffee?" "Not now. I'm just on my way to see my other girlfriend. Aren't you tired of being such a player? I like how jealous you are right now. Fine. Goodbye. Wait, I was joking, but it's true I can't meet tonight. I'm at my father's office and have a lot of work to do. All right, see you later. The bastard was lying. What if he really was seeing someone else? I asked the driver to follow his car, and to my surprise, Marco led us to an orphanage. When I sneaked in behind him, I saw a group of children running toward him as he handed out toys to all of them. A little girl jumped into his lap, and he was so sweet with her, melting my heart. And suddenly, he looked straight at me. So you caught me with my girlfriend. Meet Maria. After spending more time with the children, we left together, and I asked him why he had lied. It's always been my little secret. Even my father doesn't know. I just really enjoy spending time with these kids. And why is that a bad thing? Maybe I thought you would think I was weak. And why is that a bad thing? Do you really know anything about girls? Suddenly, I leaned in and kissed him. He seemed surprised, then returned my kiss. Everything was perfect. But 2 days later, I received a shocking call from Leo. Sophia, I saw your father at a restaurant today with someone, and he looked completely healthy. They were laughing and smoking cigars. But my father can barely get out of bed. Leo was quite certain about what he had seen, so I searched for the number of my father's doctor to inquire about his health. Mr. Rossi is very healthy. He came for his annual checkup last week and is perfectly fine. My father had been lying to me the whole time. When I went to confront him, I found him lying in bed as usual. Darling, could you take me for a walk outside? Drop the act, father. I know you're perfectly healthy. I just spoke with your doctor. Smart girl. You are my daughter after all. I wish I wasn't. I'm going to pack my things and leave right now. Don't make that mistake or your mother might lose the farm. Father explained that my mother's farm had been losing money for months. Your mother is a sentimental fool, but I'm not. I need you to get engaged to Marco so his father will invest in my business. We have a deal. So I'm nothing but a business transaction to you? Don't take it personally, darling. I'm just a practical man. Now, your mother has taken out some loans, and I can pay them off if you agree. If not, the bank will be after her very soon, and she'll lose everything. That came as a punch to my heart. I rushed out of my father's room and bumped into Marco. You knew about this deal that my father made with your father, didn't you? I can't lie to you, Sophia. My father has been pushing me to settle down, and he threatened to cut off my inheritance if I didn't get engaged to you. Stop! That's all I needed to hear! That day I packed my things and left. I knew father could ruin our lives, but I was too heartbroken to care. When I arrived at the village and asked my mother about the farm's finances, she revealed something shocking. Our finances were pretty bad, but today someone sent a large sum of money to my bank account. I tried to find out who it was, but I couldn't get the details. We used that money to solve the farm's finances, and soon everything was back to normal. One day, I returned from the market and found Marco working in the vegetable garden with my mother. I hired him. He said he needed money, and we could use an extra pair of hands. But Mom, you don't even know him! Mom didn't know he was a big liar. Why are you here? What's your plan? I confronted Marco when we were alone. The plan is to make you forgive me so we can date again. After the way you treated me? No way! Listen to me. It's true that my father asked me to date Mr. Rossi's daughter, but I had no idea that girl would be you. I fell in love with you the moment you rushed onto that train that day. Trust me, Sophia. You're not like any other girl I've ever known. Why should I trust you, Marco? It could still be your father's sick plan. I broke up with my father after you left. He wanted me to date another girl, and when I refused, he cut off my inheritance. And you know what? Your father went bankrupt. He desperately needed my father's money to save his business, but when things didn't work out, the bank sold all his restaurants. My father totally deserved that, I said. Marco continued to work hard at our farm for many weeks, but I still felt too scared to trust him again. One day, I caught him sneaking off the farm and followed him. He went to the bank, and when I later asked why he was there, I discovered that he was the one who had sent money to my mother's account. When I confronted Marco about it, he told the truth. I overheard Mr. Rossi threatening you that day. I had some savings and decided to help you, just as you helped me that day on the train. I couldn't help but hug Marco, and when he hugged me back, my life seemed perfect. As time passed, Marco and I decided to develop the farm into an ecotourism business where tourists could come and enjoy countryside living while learning about sustainable agriculture. Leo visited us regularly on weekends. and the three of us became an inseparable group. My mother was happy to see the farm thriving, and even happier to see that I had found true love. As for my father, after losing everything, he realized that money isn't everything in life. He wrote me a letter of apology, and although I couldn't forgive him immediately, I gave him a chance to prove that he could change. Marco and I got married on a beautiful spring day under the olive trees on the farm. No sparkling diamonds or expensive dress, just sincere love and loved ones around us. Sometimes, the bumpiest roads lead to the most beautiful destinations. My life is proof of that. From an 8-year-old girl angry about being abandoned by her father, to a happy woman who has found meaning in the simplest things in life, my journey has taught me that true love comes from actions, not promises. And every time I look into Marco's eyes, I know that there are things more precious than all the money in this world: true love, honesty, and a heart that knows how to love. If you loved this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more. And hey, don't miss the video that's right here on your screen. It's one you won't want to skip. See you in the next one.